Alright, it is time for tutorial time. First of all, you need to make sure you have Steam installed, as well as VTube Studio. And if you don't know how to install the model, go ahead and open VTube Studio like I have here. I'm going to click this avatar button. I'm going to unload the model. So for you to actually physically install the model that I'll be sending you, you can click Change VTS Model, and you can click Import Your Own Model. And it's going to tell you where to install it. The fastest way to just go to that folder is to click Open Folder, and then wham bam berries and jam, we've got our Live 2D Models folder, which is inside Streaming Assets, which is inside VTube Studio, Data, which is inside VTube Studio, which is inside your Common, and which is where all of your Steam games get installed. So with that folder open, you will need to I'm gonna send this as a zip file. So you'll get a zip file, and the zip file also includes, so these files are what VTube Studio will use. All of these things here. This is where your settings will be saved for VTube Studio. So like your hotkeys and stuff will get saved in this file. This is the read-only format of your model. If for some reason you ever need to get your model updated and I have exploded into 1,000 billion little pieces of confetti, the CMO3 file, this is the editing file, and then the custom Mobian _ flat. This is also like the Photoshop document of the actual art, and then this is the Photoshop document of the art, but the shadows and things aren't merged. So these would be the project files that you could take either to me or someone else. If you ever needed an outfit update or whatever, you need the CMO3. I cannot always guarantee that I will have a copy of this file in case of hard drive failure or my Google Drive needing to be emptied out. So definitely try to back up the folder that I send you. But anyways, you're going to download it. You'll get this zip file here. And what you're going to want to do is right-click that bad boy. We're going to do Extract Files. And I like to just spit it out on the desktop. So then you have the unzipped version of the folder. And then you're going to drag that into the Live 2D Models folder that VTube Studio can open for you by clicking Open Folder. And then once it's in there, you can scroll on over and your model will be here. And now I'm going to go ahead and show you some tips and tricks. So for me personally, when you are streaming with this model, you're going to want to capture it in OBS. Your best option for that is to go to Change Background, and then you're going to go to the Color Picker Background. Color Picker! There it is. And instead of leaving it green, make it black. And then make sure this says Transparent and Capture. And the reason we're doing that is because, let me move this out of the way. Let me put something huge on this screen, and now let me add my VTube Studio as a source. Where's my VTube Studio? There we go. So now you can see that the background is transparent because I have this set as a game source in OBS. So OBS over here, you're going to want to add a new source. Make sure it is a game capture. And you're going to want to capture a specific window. You're going to capture VTube Studio. You're going to specify Allow Transparency. You're going to click OK. And now the background is transparent because, and the reason I tell you to do the black is because if I zoom in really close, let me just have a random color in the background. And then I change the background color to, green. Let's change it to green. Select green. So even though it's transparent in capture, if you look real close, especially on a black background, you can see that green outline because it is a rasterized edge, and it's ugly and I hate it. So I want you to change your color picker background to black. We don't need to chroma key anything. Just change color picker to black and make sure it's transparent and capture in your OBS software. That way you don't have the ugly green outline. And then you don't have to mess with chroma key and it ruin your colors or something. Other than that, let's continue on with the tutorial on how to use this model. My bird is being an absolute nuisance. I love you, bird, but please, I need to use my mouse. Okay, so let me put this up here and hide this source. So we are going to go to the model settings, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the webcam functions. I use a webcam. If you have an iPhone, you're going to want to watch a tutorial on how to hook up your iPhone. You get really nice tracking with an iPhone. I just don't have one, so by default, all the models I send out are just set up for webcam. You can come in here, choose your camera. You know, it specifies 1280 by 720, so that's what I'm going to use. 30 frames per second. And the only option. Turn camera on, and you also want to do auto start camera with VTube Studio. So every time you open VTube Studio, it will automatically turn your camera on, and you won't have to always turn it back on. You have your tracking settings. So for example, here, you can see my face, and now, where did I go? Now it's not tracking my face, and she'll go back to her default pose. Whoop! Or I'm like leaning over here, and I'm gonna hit stay at pose, and now when I lean out of frame, she's staying where the camera last saw me. That's an option you can tinker with. Tracking settings, blink and mouth sensitivity. Here you're gonna want to explore your options depending on your lighting, your camera position, your face. This can kind of help you get some more mouth forms, or like if you're blinking and you feel like she's not blinking enough, you can turn the blink sensitivity high, you can make it low. I just leave it at the default currently. Visual effects. This is where you can actually apply cool effects to your model. Definitely feel free to explore that. This is a new feature they added, I think within the past year or two. Display lighting, similar thing, but it will actually just change the lighting on your model based on what's showing on your screen. So this is really cool if you're playing a horror game or a game with a lot of bright neon colors. This will actually make it look like your model's looking at a screen, and those colors are kind of affecting the shading of the model. Haven't tinkered with virtual webcam or the spout config. You don't really need to record live 2D animation. Oh, blinking. So for me personally, I usually have eye blinking linked as always, so that I can kind of avoid the lizard blink, like doing this. But if winking is something important to you, you can have it set to never or when face is rotated. Personally, I just always have it linked to always because I don't really wink at my viewers very often. But I'm going to leave it as when face is rotated. So like by default, you can wink if you want, but you can always come change this setting. I have to sneeze. Goodness. All right. Excuse me. Back to the adventures of using the model. I mean, you use the Mobian model, so you probably know how to use a lot of these things, especially the customize model function. You can use the customize model function to recolor her lip, recolor her hair, recolor everything. Go ham. Movement config, so like when I'm leaning left and right, you can see her feet kind of float. Turn that off, and her feet won't float. I usually leave it on because I like the extra movement it does when I like lean close or lean far away. So I'm going to leave that on for now. Physics settings, default is fine. You might want to tinker with some of these if you need to. For example, let's say you have limited neck movement. So maybe you're wearing a neck brace. Maybe you have an injury. I'm actually going to move my webcam, down here. So maybe your neck movement is limited. So the way I will describe this to you is input is what your webcam sees. So input is this. So like the input of my webcam, whoa, I'm looking left. Wow, I'm looking right. Left and right, horizontally is the X angle, and then up and down is the Y. So let's say, for example, I can turn my head this far, but let's say maybe you can only turn your head this far. Like maybe you're in a neck brace or you have a neck injury. You can go down into face left rotation and go ahead and turn your head like as far as feels comfortable for you. So it's hovering at like -19. Bam, just put -19 over there. Do the same for your other side. Might be 15, might be 16, might be 18. I'm going to put the positive 18 over here. So now, when I barely look over this way, I don't have to like turn my head all the way. she'll look further for me without me having to like really turn my head to face the walls in my room. I'm going to leave it at the default for now, but you can always change these settings, and if you get confused as to, oh god, I want them back and I don't remember what they were, definitely free to message me. The defaults are usually things like even numbers like 20, 30, 15, 10. And it varies depending on the position of your webcam. So if you're moving your webcam a lot, you're going to want to have to adjust these every time you do, probably. Let's see. Body Z rotation. So that is this movement. She doesn't have a whole lot. She doesn't really lean a whole bunch. I can add more if you want her to. And then body Z is also what controls her left and right step. Let's say you don't want her to be able to, I don't know, for some reason you don't want her to be able to lean left and right. If you put these to 0, like the webcam still sees me leaning, but it doesn't actually output it. So I don't think you'll need to do that, but that is a thing you can do if you want. I think, so the brow ear is one that I add to my models. So what this is when my left brow goes up, so the webcam sees my eyebrows go up, it's going to rotate the ear up. And when it goes down, it kind of lowers the ears down. And this varies depending on your webcam position a little bit, so you might have to tinker with this a little bit. Whoops, those are shortcuts. So for my webcam, my neutral eyebrows, the webcam says, are at 0.5, whereas if I set this back to 1, like the ears are kind of too low all the time by default. So I'm gonna put it to 0.5. Because this is my neutral resting face. And now when my eyebrows go up and down, you can kind of tinker with it a bit. I'm going to maybe do 0.4. I moved my webcam since I input these, so it's a little different than how it was before, because before my webcam was actually up here on top of my monitor. I'll put it back up here for now. Whoa! I dropped it. So you can tinker with these settings if you need help understanding them. You can ask me. There we go. See, now when my eyebrows go up, and then they go back down. Same thing. This one just kind of adds the flex to it. And now I'm going to go ahead and add some additional functions. So I'm going to do brow plus anger. So I'm going to do input, and it's going to be based on the brows. I'm just going to do brows input. I'm going to output the anger eyeform. So like now I'm lifting my eyebrows and see how it makes her angry, whereas if I lower them, she's slightly less angry. Let me change the values, switch them out. I mean, there we go. Let me do brow plus shrink. So we can do brow input, left or right, doesn't matter. I'm going to output shrink. So this makes the eyeballs shrink. So now when I lift my eyebrows, her pupils shrink, but they're kind of too small all the time. So again, the webcam thinks that my neutral eyebrows are like 0.5. So I'll put this at like 0.6 or something. That way, like, her pupils will stay the normal size as long as I'm making a neutral expression. But then when I raise my eyebrows because I'm excited or I'm surprised, they'll shrink. And if they're shrinking too small, you can even specify, well, I only want them to shrink to like about half the size that they can. So they can shrink less, or they can shrink more, or they can shrink all of the way. I'll go ahead and do 0.75 just for funsies. Feel free to tinker with these settings. You can always refer back to this video. To brow plus, to put them back to the default settings. Output, let's do sad, and I'm gonna kind of use this to 0. Now when I lower my eyebrows, it kind of changes the shapes of her eyes. But again, if you don't want them, you can just put the outputs to 0, and it won't actually make an effect to it. Or you can just straight up delete them, doesn't matter. The custom ones I'm putting in this folder called custom. So you can always just click that. So that covers that. Now let's go to the hotkeys that she has. I like to name all of my hotkeys with the key that they have. By default, I use the F1 keys, and then I'll start using Control +1. You can choose a key combination. So you can set it to be Control F1. That way, look, I'm pressing F1, nothing's happening. I have to press left Control and F1, and then it will happen. So it's up to you. It just depends on, like, your personal setup. I'm going to remove this key. Archimedes is being so loud. And then for the facial expressions, I have them set to stop after 10 seconds. So, like, you can toggle the angry expression, and then it will automatically turn itself off after 10 seconds, so you don't have to, like, remember to manually turn it off. Same for cheek. Same for dread. Same for kira kira. These will all turn off after 10 seconds. And then we have the arm poses, and what the arm pose does is it removes this arm, the default arm, and replaces it with a different art mesh of an arm that's rigged with physics. And so this is F8, which is her holding a ring. F9 is the same thing, but the ring isn't there. That way you can pin an item to this if you want. F10 is the emerald, and then F11 is the emerald hand, but it's empty, so you can pin something there if you want. F12 turns on her visor. And let's say maybe you want to edit one of these expressions. Let's say you like the heart eyes, but you don't want the blush to be present on the heart eyes. You can actually go to the expression editor, and you can see what each expression is actually made up of. So for the kokoro, which is heart, you can see, okay, so when I push this hotkey, it turns on this parameter. So kokoro's parameter, its sole function is to make the heart eyes switch out. And then cheek will turn the blush on and off. So if you want to turn the blush off, you can just turn it off, and then it won't pop on. You can set it to be kind of subtle. You can make it be max. I'm going to go ahead and put it in, like, in the middle. And I'm going to hit save. And then when you push that expression, it has changed that expression. Same for all the other expressions. Let's say you like the angry expression. Oh my goodness. Turn it off. Thank you. But maybe you don't want her to be smiling. Like, you want to force the mouth form to only ever frown when you use the angry. Right now, the mouth shape is based solely on tracking. So, you know, I smile, I frown. Ow. So when I use the anger form, you know, I can still smile. Like, maybe I'm just like, what did you say? But if you want to, like, force her to frown, again, you can go to the expression editor, click anger, and you can actually scroll down to the tracked parameters, and you can go to mouth form, and you can force her to frown. Like, you can force her to frown. But now you'll notice I can't change, you know, I can't smile now. That's because the hotkey overrides the tracking. Same for mouth open. You know, if I set this hotkey to keep the mouth open, I'm talking, I'm moving my mouth, but the hotkey is overriding the tracked function until I disable that hotkey. Same for every other thing. So you can, like, physically force your model to oh, did I not set up her head Z? I'll make sure to set up her head Z. You can override them if you want to. You can also create new ones. So let me kind of show you how to create a new expression. And the bonus to the expression editor is, yes, you can create a new expression, but also you, as the end user, get to see every function that I have rigged in the model. So for example, we have this one that changes like the muzzle thickness, like because this was originally what the default Mobian model looked like, but then I changed it for your character. And normally I would delete this, but I went ahead and left it there just as an example. Oh, see, and it also changed like her body shape a little bit. You probably won't use that, but let's say you want to be able to turn the lens visor on. You can create that as a hotkey. I've already kind of set up all of these default hotkeys, so the lens, all of these ones. So posed right arm. What this does is it turns off the default arm and turns on the posed arm. But then this posed arm has different hands, so you're actually going to scroll down to hand pose here, and you can actually scroll through and see the different hand poses that I have rigged on this parameter. Again, I already have these set up, but in case you ever want to tinker with them, that's kind of how they work. You can turn all of the expressions on. You can do whatever the heck your heart desires. You can go crazy. Like, you can put all of these on and turn it as a hotkey. I don't really see an instance where you'll need to turn her outfit off, especially if you're streaming on Twitch, even though she doesn't have any actual, like, true nudity drawn. It's just a base. There's no, like, genital bits or whatever. This is mostly in here for, like, future outfits, so that I can, like, turn this shirt off, but then it'll turn, like, another shirt on top of it. That way they're not all, like, layering on top of each other. I don't anticipate you really needing to make new expressions, but if you feel like you need to, you can always come in here and kind of explore, okay, what does my model do? What are all these functions? And then once you understand, like, what the functions are, you can actually even go over here and, or this one, and, like, you know, mess around with some of these if you want. But everything is labeled. So for the arm hotkeys, these are set to be persistent. They don't turn themselves off after 10 seconds. You can always change it if you want, but they currently, once you push that on, you'll have to remember to turn it off. So that's a thing you can do. So that's all of her hotkeys. And now let me show you kind of like some extra stuff, like the basic item pinning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this X over here. We're going to go back to like VTube Studio's main menu. And we're going to click here to item settings. And I'm going to add this Beppis. Let's add this Beppis. And I want it to be above the model. And I want to pin it to the model. So I'm going to click OK. But I want to stick it to her hand when she's like, has it lifted up. So I'm actually going to like turn on this hand. This is on F9. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the item while holding click. You can actually specify to pin between layers if you want. For now, you don't really need to pin between layers, but sometimes you can. This is a beta feature. So like, watch. As I drag this down, it'll go like behind different layers of the model. So if you needed to put like a bow that's like behind her ears but in front of the back of her hair, you would just drag through the layer order. And if you need me to, you know, kind of adjust some of the layer order, that's something I can do. Miss Bird, excuse me. Let's shrink this Beppis, and I'm gonna put it on her hand. I can hold Control and use my scroll wheel to rotate it. And then I'll just kind of let go while it's on her hand. And now it's connected to this arm. Cool. So I'm going to click OK. And now let's say I want to be able to put this, I want to set this as a hotkey so that I can just like, bam, push a button and I'm holding the Beppis. Same thing, you're going to double click on the background. You're going to go this time to item scenes for hotkeys. And let's create a new item scene. And I'm going to name this one, hand items. Oh wait, no, I'm going to name this one Beppis, because this is the Beppis. And now I'm going to create an item group. What is an item group? Well, an item group is when you load an item scene that has a group, all other items with the same group are unloaded. For example, you could have a group called hats to make sure the previous hat is automatically unloaded if you load a new one. So I'm going to name this group Chamomile. You probably won't have to just put her name, but because I have like 200 models in my computer, I'm going to go ahead and just put her name on it. I'm going to say hand accessories, or I'll just do hand item because I ran out of space. Hand item. So I'm going to click save. And now it should be saved. But just to make sure, I'm going to go to the Beppis, select, and make sure this is blue, because if it's red, it's not going to be saved. So make sure it's blue, and then you'll know it's saved. Cool, so now this can be loaded as an item scene. So let's go to our hotkeys. And now I'm going to add a new item scene. So I'm going to just name this item Beppis. And I'm going to set an item scene. And I'm going to use the Beppis. And I'm going to set it to control 1. So now when I push control 1, the Beppis turns off and on. One thing you will have to keep in mind is, let me push F9, because the art mesh that the Beppis was pinned to is now turned off and gone. It will kind of snap onto her shoulder. So an option you have is you can push F9. You can always make sure, all right, I'm going to put my empty hand first, and then I'm going to use my control 1 to put the Beppis on, and then when I turn it off, I'll make sure to turn the Beppis off first, and then the hand. Or you could technically put them on the same hotkey. So let me just set this to, you know, I think it was F9. And I can turn the fade off. So now if I push F9, and that kind of works as well. But then if you want to, you know, do like a different, you want her to be able to hold multiple different items, your best bet would be to actually just like set each item separately from the, my brain stopped functioning, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. So now let's turn off the Beppis, and I want to add another one. So let's just add what's a fun item to hold? A hammer, pudding, mustache, boba. Let's do this boba. And you'll see this is a live 2D item. So what that means is this item is rigged, and so it has some amount of movement or physics. So I'm going to click. And because it's a live 2D item, you can actually fine-tune the item. So you can like adjust the movement that it has. You can like change the physics, all that good stuff, and you can set it to use hotkeys. I don't know what hotkeys this item has. Yeah, this item doesn't have any hotkeys, so this doesn't matter. You don't really need that. I'm going to click save, and it'll ask you if you want to multiply and change the multiplying screen. Technically, you can. It depends on the person that made the item, and if they don't mind you changing it. But technically, so like the items I make, you are encouraged to be able to like change the colors of things. So like, you know, I can change the cup color or liquid color. So that's kind of cool. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't really want to. And now again, I'm going to click and hold. Ooh, see, it's got physics when it moves around. I'm going to use my scroll wheel to shrink it. Whoops, I accidentally zoomed into the model. Click, scroll, and I'm going to kind of click it in the middle and then drag the middle onto her hand. And I'm going to shrink it. There we go. And just let go. So now it's attached to her hand. And now let's save this as an item scene. We're going to create a new item scene, and this is going to be, well, boba. But I want to use the same group. So I'm going to use the hand item group and make sure this is blue so it's being saved. I'm going to hit save. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to my hotkeys. Let's create one for the boba. You don't have to name things the way I do. This is just what logically makes sense for me. We're going to set it to toggle item scene. I'm going to do the boba. There we go. And I'm going to set this one to control 2. So now, if I push control 1, we've got the Beppis. If I push control 2, whoops, I actually forgot to put 2 here. Control 2, the Beppis and the Boba will switch places. So control 1, control 2, control 1, control 2. So they'll just automatically switch. So you can have multiple items without having to like, all right, let me unload the Beppis and then let me reload the Boba so that they don't stack on each other. Yep. So that's the thing you can do. I'm actually going to put this in. I'll create a new folder. You don't have to make a folder. I just like to because I'm an organized little gremlin. So I'm going to do item scenes. And click OK, and I'm going to put these in item scenes. And I'm just going to leave these as part of the model. That way it's already kind of built in. But you can always change it or just delete them if you don't want them. But I think that kind of covers the overall basics of using this model. If you have any questions, you need any adjustments or updates or something, just let me know, and I can get that, you know, updated and adjusted for you. She does have her steppies. Yeah, I think that's it. So I'm going to turn off that, and turn my regular arm on, or the emerald arm, or you can use, again, you can pin something to this. I wonder what happens if I load the Beppis. Okay, it pins because it's kind of in the same area as the other arm. But it's whatever. And then, actually, I want to go ahead and create a new. I'm going to do reset. And I'm going to set this to control plus 0. And this will remove all expressions. So I'm going to hit control 0. Oh, but it doesn't remove the items, I guess. Interesting. Yep. I think that covers it. So F9 plus control 1 or control 2. And then you can hold items and things. So I don't necessarily have to draw and rig everything you ever want to hold ever. You can pin a PNG. You can pin a GIF. You can pin a live 2D item. If you find it on Etsy, you find it online. Lots of people have free ones online on Twitter. You can draw your own. Just have fun with it. If you need any other updates or adjustments, just let me know. And I think that is it for this tutorial. Have fun. Oh, actually, let me show you one more thing. So if you go over here to General Settings and Connections, scroll down here to make sure to allow API plugins. And what this does is you can download a software called, there's TITS, which is Twitch Integrated Throwing System. And here is where you would kind of connect that so that people can throw things at your model. Or you can use something called Mix It Up. And what Mix It Up does is it will connect your model also to your Twitch chat. So, like, you can set Boba as a redeem, or, you know, oops, let me turn the Boba off. You can set, like, someone can just, like, redeem with their channel points for you to have the Chaos Emerald, and then it will make it pop up. Or you can make it so that, you know, you can have chat activate any of your hotkeys for you as a redeem if you want, using a software called Mix It Up. You just need to do the plugin thing through Mix It Up and VTube Studio, and I'm sure there's a YouTube tutorial on how to do that. Super easy. Yeah, just have fun with it, man. Just have fun. That's it. All right, bye.